Come, let us explore this dawn's meditation class and group practice that we too could meditate like a Jedi. This morning's lesson is based upon the 43rd passage of the meditation classic, The Unwaning Victory Banner, composed many centuries ago by the great Buddhist reformer Prahevajra. Together, let us relaxingly recite. It is easy and difficult. Difficult because it is too easy. Not apparent, it pervades everything. When practiced only as "this is it" becomes a mere name, and even the great Vajrasattva cannot show it. What is meant by it? Oh, goodness. Please bear with me. I'm having a moment. Okay, here we go. Thank you for bearing with me. Let's see. Let's make sure this fits on the page and try again. So, pristine awareness is easy and difficult. Difficult because it is too easy. So, we got to begin with a fundamental question: what is meant by pristine awareness? And to answer this, I'm going to switch from this lesson text to some visual aids. Wow, having some trouble here with the coordination. Okay. Okay, that'll work. Now, what is meant by pristine awareness? Sturgeon's law reminds us that 90% of everything sucks. What could that suckiness look like? It looks like most of us being raised from birth and conditioned to be rigid, fearful, superstitious, controlling, elitist, cryptic, competitive, and cruel, instead of being flexible, loving, rational, laid-back, egalitarian, lucid, cooperative, and kind. So it should come as a little surprise that this describes not only all of humanity, most of humanity, but most meditation teachers as well. Perhaps that is why the majority of meditation teachers implore their students to actively focus and actively analyze in harmony upon their medial, or dependence upon their medial and dorsolateral prefrontal cortex. We evolved the front of our brain to be used sparingly. When it is overused, when it is exhausted, we begin presenting with symptoms of depression, as well as trigger our amygdala, which is the seat of both anxiety and aggression. Fortunately, neither the amygdala nor the prefrontal cortex constitute the entirety of our central nervous system. Consider, if you will, our spinal cord. The fancy name is our autonomic nervous system. The nickname is our Buddha nature. Why is it called that? I'll show you. Every time we inhale, we automatically access the middle bit of our spinal cord, known as the sympathetic nervous system, which has evolved to help us notice in a very special way, vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly. It has evolved to help us to notice all manner of phenomena, from the external to the internal, from the physical to the mental, from the pleasurable to the painful, from the interesting to the boring, from the glorious to the grotesque. Including sights, sounds, sensations, flavors, scents, and the like, as well as the full spectrum of human emotions, intentions, cognitions, recollections, and imaginings. This is what is meant by awareness. Every time we exhale, we automatically access the end bits of our spinal cord, whose fancy name is our parasympathetic nervous system. If the middle bit of our spinal cord are like a bunch of books on a bookshelf, then the end bits are kind of like the bookends, keeping them vertical and pretty. The parasympathetic aspect of our autonomic nervous system has evolved to help us to physically relax and mentally release to such a degree that which we noticed during our previous inhalation could fleetingly feel less stressful, less permanent, and less defining. Wherever humans gather, regardless of the language spoken, we begin using figures of speech. A popular figure of speech to describe this is emptiness. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever we noticed during our previous inhalation could fleetingly feel as non-graspable as a vast empty void. In 4th grade, I was taught that a simile is only as effective as it is relatable. So, we have to ask the question, what is a real-world example of a non-graspable, vast empty void? How about the illusion of the infinite azure sky on a bright and beautiful cloudless morn, which, although could look tantalizing to the eye, feels non-graspable to the hand? And this is what is meant by pristine. So as we feel our diaphragm pull in and down during our inhalation, we could silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this as we watch the antics of mind, or in other words, practice mindfulness, practice awareness. As we feel our diaphragm relax back up into its upright position during our exhalation, we could silently and mentally recite the one-syllable verb ease as we relax into mind's non-graspable nature, the meditation whose nickname is pristine. This is what is meant by pristine awareness. We experience awareness as we breathe in. We experience its pristine aspect as we relaxingly exhale. We cannot actively experience this. We can only experience it vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly in cooperation with our autonomic nervous system. Now that we have refreshed our awareness, our understanding of mindfulness and meditation, let's return to the lesson text. Pristine awareness is easy and difficult. Difficult because it is too easy. So for those of us, and let's go back to the lesson text. For those who were raised to be rigid, fearful, superstitious, controlling, elitist, cryptic, competitive, and cruel, passively, vulnerably, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly cooperating with our autonomic nervous system, simply noticing whatever comes up, and then relaxing, is inconceivable. And it makes much more sense to indulge our controlling tendencies and instead focus and analyze and feel like whatever benefits whatever enlightenment we experience, we've earned it. We really want to earn it. We're conditioned to believe that we live in a meritocracy when we really do not. But this is not the path of peace. This is the path of anxiety and aggression. If we wish to traverse, the only way to traverse the path of peace and love is by practicing pristine awareness, vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly. In our culture, that trains us to be rigid, fearful, superstitious, controlling, elitist, cryptic, competitive, and cruel. This path is not obvious. But every living being with a central nervous system, every complex living being with a central nervous system has the capacity to notice and relax in harmony with their breathing. Everything. We are wired, so there's we are already wired to see, hear, feel, taste, smell, emote, intend, reason, recall, and imagine. We do not have to try to do those things. It would be impossible not to. Hence, it is easy. When practiced only as this is it, it becomes a mere name, and not even great Vajrasattva can show it. When we turn the path of practice into something to be blindly believed or exhaustively or pseudo-intellectually theorized, when we turn it into a mere pseudo-intellectual abstraction or something to believe in, it loses all its power. Because the path is not blind faith. The path is not rigorous analytics. The path is cooperating with vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly, noticing and relaxing. Vajrasattva here, or diamond mind, which could be explained as the diamond-like strength of a mind well trained in mindfulness and meditation, is an archetype, a metaphor for the practice of noticing as we breathe in and relaxing as we breathe out. The Vajra, or diamond, represents awareness. The bell, or Ganta, represents the fact that as we relax into our exhalation, although we noticed during our previous inhalation feels as non-graspable as the ring of a bell that once struck, grows quieter and fainter second by second. So we have a choice. We can practice mindfulness and meditation, or we can practice faith and logic. The path endorsed by the Buddha and by the author of this text is awareness and release. Having completed this morning's opening lesson, we can now shift gears. It is Qui-Gon Jinn Tuesday morning. Come, let us meditate like a Jedi after approximately 30 seconds of housekeeping. This is the Dzogchen Sunday Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. For more than 30 years, I have harnessed my autistic special interests as well as my ADHD hyperfocus so that I could spend about 8 hours a day almost every day studying, practicing, mastering, and reverse engineering the teachings and techniques of each school of meditation so that I can become your personal, nerdy, neurodivergent guide to nirvana. Welcome, my friends, to Meditate Like a Jedi, which is made possible due to the generosity of viewers just like you. For the remainder of this morning's live stream, let's practice the pristine awareness of mindfulness and meditation. Practice mindfulness meditation at least once every 12 hours, and the remaining 6 folds of the Buddha's Eightfold Path take care of themselves. So, having sat for the better part of 20 minutes, we could adjust our legs for greater comfort. The easiest way to keep track of our first collection of 144 inhalations. One moment, if you please. Yes, is for us to rest the first knuckle at the base of our right index finger upon the tip of our left index finger, palms up in our lap. By touching the tip of our right thumb to the 3 sets of creases found on each of the 4 fingers of our right hand, we could keep track of our next 12 inhalations. By using our left thumb to count the 3 sets of creases upon each of the 4 fingers of our left hand, we could count 12 sets, 12 inhalations each. The moment you have a specific question about Buddhist or Taoist meditation or philosophy, do not hesitate to type your question in great detail in the chat window, for I tend to check for questions about once every 5 to 10 minutes. The easiest way to practice mindfulness, the easiest way to watch the antics of mind, is to simply silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this as we feel our diaphragm pull in and down during our inhalation. The easiest way to practice the meditation, which is simply relaxing into mind's non-graspable nature, is to silently and mentally recite the one-syllable verb ease during each exhalation as our diaphragm relaxes back up into its upright position. The moment you have a specific question about Buddhist or Taoist philosophy or meditation, simply type your question in great detail in the chat window, for I tend to check for questions about once every 5 or 10 minutes or so. If you are remotely arthritic, I recommend adjusting your posture at least about every 15 minutes or so. The easiest way to keep track of our second collection of 144 inhalations is for us to rest the second knuckle of our right index finger upon the tip of our left index finger, palms up in our lap. We can use the tip of our right thumb to count the 3 sets of creases on each of our right hand's 4 fingers. We can use the tip of our left thumb to count the 3 sets of creases on each of the 4 fingers of our left hand to count 12 sets of 12 inhalations each. The easiest way to practice mindfulness is to silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this during each inhalation. And the easiest way to practice meditation is to silently and mentally recite the one-syllable verb ease during each exhalation. As Obi-Wan Kenobi said to Luke Skywalker aboard the Millennium Falcon, you have taken your first step into a much larger world. So I say unto you, upon YouTube, that if you feel I've earned it, You could give this live stream a thumbs up. You could even help support this channel. In approximately 11 hours, I would very much like to return to lead today's dusk meditation class and group practice. And if you are as geeky as me, may the Force be with you always.